What is the most annoying thing a guest has done in your home? Invite their own guest to stay with us for 5 days. None of them were invited to stay over. Relatives. My best friend wouldn't fucking leave. When I asked her what her going home plans were after 6 days, she said, I don't plan my life that way. We are 30. Left his trash everywhere and then started to complain because of that trash laying around. Let their little kid wipe his ass with my guest towels instead of, asking where the toilet paper is. When I was young, my parents went on a vacation and sent me to stay with the school nurse for a week. One night I shit myself. I was so embarrassed and didn't want to tell anyone. I took the shit-stained underwear and stuffed it behind the dresser in the bedroom. A week after I'm back home, my parents receive a package in the mail. This lady had found the shit-crusted underwear, put them in a Ziploc bag, and sent them back to us. This lady is in the comments section writing a story about you right now. A kid whose parents didn't supervise him. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time and would get into anything, especially stuff computer related. He would dig through drawers and open boxes looking for gadgets to play with, only to fuck them up or lose something. We finally told the parents they couldn't bring him back when he got into the kitchen and turned on the glass top stove while a pizza box was on it. Started a small, quickly extinguished fire and the house smelled like smoke for about a week. Have a similar story. A doucher bag kid of one of my wife's very new friends, met at school picking up the kids a few times, come over once. He ran straight upstairs, jumping the baby gate, jumped on my bed, and went through my bedside drawers. As I went to run upstairs to get the little prick, he came tumbling down, knocking the baby gate down and damaging the wall. He then proceeded to run across my couch before I grabbed him and threw him outside. His mum barely blinked and just said he can be a little crazy sometimes. Told her to fuck off and never come back. Good God, what's wrong with some parents? I invited a former college classmate to come and stay at my house when I found out he was homeless. I knew he had issues with drinking, but was not aware that he had come to include other addictions. It was late in the evening when I picked him up and brought him home. I showed him his room, the bathroom, told him to help himself to anything in the fridge. Less than 2 hours later I woke up to the smoke alarm going off. I guess he had decided to smoke some Benadryl that was in the medicine cabinet. I'm not really sure what went on, but he scorched my coffee table and a small patch of laminate flooring, plus he burned/melted a spot in my area rug big enough that I had to replace it. He also broke my favorite glass, and for some reason that still baffles me, smashed the remote for my TV into several pieces. Needless to say, I had to show him the door. The next day I told him he needed to go to the addictions clinic at the hospital and tell them he needed help because he was a danger to himself and others. People with bad addictions do weird ass shit. An old friend had a girl stay over one night when he got pretty drunk and took her home. She ripped the cables out of his live web servers, cut them up with the scissors, and left tiny sharp bits of copper wire in his bed and all over the house. Asked a couple who is friends of my BF to watch my home for a little less than 2 weeks. I left my home sparkling clean, fridge packed full of their favorite goodies, movie tickets, gift certificates, bottles of beer and wine, and my car to use as they pleased, since neither of them have their own car or live on their own. Upon returning home around 10 PM, after 20+ hours of flights and traveling, the house was filthy. The floor was covered in dirt. Counters were crammed with shit, as if they pulled everything out from the cabinets and left them. Beer bottles were left empty on every surface. Pistachio nut shells were thrown on the floor and left strewn on my bedside table and bedroom dresser. Their dirty underwears were just left on the bathroom floor. The kitchen sink was filled with nearly all of my dishes which had been used and left dirty. Most of my Tupperware was now in the fridge filled with their leftover food. My patio furniture was pulled into my bedroom and used as a game setup with my bedroom TV moved to a different spot. They left sex oil on my nightstand. They somehow broke my washing machine. They threw out all of my chemical cleaning supplies and replaced them with organic cleaning supplies, Aquavinegar and water. When we got into my apartment, they said, "Wow, it's so weird to have you here. It's like this was our house." and now it's yours. Like, bitch, this was always my fucking house. How could you forget that so quickly? They seemed in no rush to leave. They sat in the living room and opened up some beer. I didn't rush them out. I also did not bother to help them clean up their huge mess. I was exhausted and fell asleep on the couch while my BF awkwardly made small talk and unwillingly hung out. The next morning, I get a text from the girlfriend saying she thought it was disgusting and rude of me not to wear a bra when I fell asleep, implying that I was trying to turn her BF on. First of all, I was wearing a fucking bra. My nips are just always rock hard for some reason. And I was wearing a sports bra on the plane, so not much padding there anyway. Also, if I didn't want to wear a bra to go to bed, I don't need to because I'm in my own fucking house. There are so many more things they did that irritated me. These are just a few I can remember right off the bat. At my son's first birthday party, my stepmom's mother, who wasn't even invited, made the comment, "Your wife says she isn't materialistic, but you sure have a lot of stuff." We were living in a small 2-bedroom apartment, and my son's room, which had toys and other presents, was also my office and the only storage we had. I've made this post before, so I'll just copy paste it here. Not my house but my car. I don't have many rules for passengers when I'm driving, but there are 2 I will never budge on. 1. Wear your seatbelt. 2. Do not smoke in my car. I had just bought a car. It wasn't brand new, but I knew the previous and only owner, and I knew he was a car guy who took meticulous care of his cars inside and out. He wouldn't even sell me the car before he had given the engine a proper service. Within a week of getting the car, a friend asked for a lift to the train station. I knew he smoked, so as we walked to the car I told him specifically to wait until we get to the station before he lights up. A 10-minute ride at most. I back out of the parking spot, drive to the exit of the parking lot, and as I check my left hand side for oncoming cars, I hear from my right the distinctive sound of a lighter sparking up. Dude could not even fucking wait until we were out of the fucking car park before he just had to have his goddamn cigarette. I ask him what the hell he thinks he's doing, and he just looks at me and says, "Relax. It's not like it's a new car." Fucker ended up walking to the train station. Took explosive shits that left shit spattered all over the toilet every single day for the month that he was residing in our house. Didn't think to clean it up. One of my mother's friends is not only a raging alcoholic, but is also on ridiculous amount of prescription drugs. One night she was staying with my parents and fell asleep in a leather recliner because of aforementioned alcohol and drugs. At some point in the middle of the night she shit herself. Again because of the aforementioned alcohol and drugs. And instead of being a good guest and decent human being and being embarrassed by it and doing her damnedest to clean it up, she threw the blanket she was sleeping under over her mess and then went upstairs to sleep in one of the beds. Then she just told my mother about it in the morning and then left. My mother used bleach and every cleaner under the sun to clean up the mess, and she did. But she ended up just throwing the chair out because how could you ever really look at it the same way again? The most shocking detail in this story is that my mother is still friends with this lady. My dad collects fossils and found the lower half of a human jaw. He called the police when he found it, but they told him it was quite old and couldn't do anything with it. In the end he was allowed to keep it, and the jawbone is on display in his poker room. My mother's cousin stayed with them for a visit, picked it up by each end, and pressed them inward exclaiming, "Oh, is this real?" The piece snapped in half. Dad quietly removed the bits from my cousin's hands and left the room. He put it together with some scotch tape. Just wanted to give you some advice to pass on to your dad in case you're interested. I'm a professional paleontologist, have a degree and a job at a big museum. And scotch tape is not archival and can damage fossils. Superglue, however, is archival. It can be reversed using acetone. I'd recommend he use this to fix his fossils and remove any scotch tape very carefully. I was at work all day and I always close my door before leaving. Always. My mum had guests over and decided, hey, let's show the guests everyone's rooms and all the rooms in the house in general. Well, one lady, whom I had never met, didn't like how I arranged my room. So while everyone was at dinner, I work from 11:30 AM to about 9 PM. 6 days a week. so I wasn't there when this happened. She went into my room and rearranged my desk, the clothes in my drawers and closet, all my pictures, and threw out some knickknacks that were given to me by old friends, but she thought were "trash" I hadn't thrown out yet. I was pissed. She totally admitted it, but didn't seem to feel bad at all. My mum was upset too, but not as much as me. They are no longer friends, but I'm not sure why. Probably cause she threw out some of my mum's knickknacks as well. Edit. Hello all. I'm surprised that this comment of my unfortunate loss of knickknacks and a woman I had never met before was my highest upvoted and most commented, so I thank all. Anyways. Fortunately I did not get or find my lovely knickknacks, as she decided not to tell me or anyone where she "trashed" them, since she thought they were "not of value," although I felt I looked everywhere. It took me a good 30 minutes to an hour to fully realize my room had been rearranged. At first I was confused tbh. I'll let it sink in, and what just really pissed me off the most was my knickknacks being gone forever. My mum was the one who calmly told her to leave, as I'm not one to be confrontational, although I kept begging her to tell me where my knickknacks were and everyone knew I was angry. But when I'm angry I cry, so everyone thought I was sad. It's been a couple years, and I'm still very bitter about it. My late partner was very sick with leukemia. After over a year of being his 24/7 caregiver, I got the opportunity to go abroad for a work trip. My partner insisted I go because I deserved a break from caregiving, and that his deadbeat brother would fill in as caregiver while I was gone. While his brother was staying within our home, he brought his cat, which is a no-no for someone who living with zero immune system, did the absolute minimum to take care of my partner, and left him basically to figure out med/food on his own. And the final blow was he stole the big piggy bank that we were using to save for his bucket list vacation before he died, then denied he did it. It makes my blood boil thinking about it. Threw their baby's dirty diapers under my bed the entire weekend. Wasn't fun when I found them all after they left Sunday night. They also stole the $50 worth of coins from my piggy bank. My aunt took a shit in the bathroom, a given, considering we were having a BBQ, but instead of throwing the used tissue in the toilet or even the bin, she put it inside the bathtub. I told my mom, who put her on blast in front of the whole fam. She doesn't come to the cookouts anymore. That doesn't sound normal. Does she perhaps have dementia or a mental illness of some sort? A far from bipolar disorder. Not that I'm aware of. She claimed to have not seen to trash can and thought we had septic. We did not. So she was trying to save us from a clog, but I have no idea what went through her mind. Yeah, I'm bipolar and I would never pull that shit. My grandma, however, had dementia and did things of that sort for a while before she was diagnosed. I saw her piss on the cushions once. I asked why she did that, and she denied doing it. I told my parents, and she said it was water, and they believed her. A month or so after that, my sister was born. She put some Sancho oil, an essential oil blend that kind of smells like vapor rub, but much stronger and heals colds almost instantly. Not recommended to use on babies or children under 2. Under 6. Can have on chest, but not near the nose, on her head and face. Poor baby cried and screamed so much we thought she might have passed out. There was apparently no way to get this off of her completely because of the sheer amount that had been rubbed on her. My dad was at work. My mom went to the terrace to hang out fresh laundry, and I, 9 years old, was indoors with my grandma and baby sister. I ran upstairs and called my mom down because grandma wouldn't listen to me when I tried to get her to stop after the baby started crying. My mom came running down. We bathed her, wiped her head and face with baby wipes, put baby lotion on her cheeks and upper lip. Nothing helped. I went and called, as in phone call, my dad, and we all just sat there and watched her cry for over 2 hours. The next day my dad took my grandma, almost forcefully, to the psychiatrist and got a CAT scan done. She had had dementia for at least 6 years at that point. This was technically in a dorm room, not a real home, but I had the audacity to wake up my roommate's boyfriend by walking into my room, where he was asleep at 3 in the afternoon, and he immediately launched into a political argument with me. "Oh, sorry I woke you up, you know who needs to wake up? The sheeple." When my cousin was my roommate, her trashy sad redneck boyfriend would come over and use all of my pots and pans and then leave them for me to clean up after him. One night I got so pissed I dumped the entire sink full of their mess onto her bed and covered it with a blanket. Never again. Had a roommate that would forget he was cooking and burn the food into whatever pot or pan he was using and then just leave a pile of ruined pots and pans in the kitchen. Whenever his girlfriend would come over, he would just shove everything in the oven to hide it rather than just throw it out. After the second or third time of me preheating the oven for food just to open it up and realize that I'm baking a stack of ruined pots and pans, I just took everything and set it on his bed. He came home with his girlfriend and had to explain why all these ruined dishes were on his bed. Never said anything to me about it, but he moved out shortly after, lol. Oh my god. My husband does this. Married 8 years and it still blows my mind. He will dirty every pan in the kitchen and just leave it. I don't know if he honestly thinks his food that I don't eat 80% of the time is some gift and I should be honored to do the regular dishes and clean up his mess on top of everything. I just stopped. I saw him making the mess one day and told him it's his responsibility to wash up after himself and that it's rude to make me do all the dishes just to be able to eat. Later that night I found all the dirty pots shoved in the oven. It's the dumbest thing ever, and every time I try to explain why it pissed me off so bad, he just gets this glazed look in his eye. I have to check the oven every time before I use it. Drank all of my favorite tea and used 2 bags in each cup. It's the only tea out of the 80 varieties in the cabinet I said to not use much of. It was difficult to get because only one store carried it and it was a big trip to go get. Then right after she drank it all, I went to replace it and the store no longer carried it. My partner recently found it online and bought me a box though. Guessed, I wonder what would happen if I picked the cat up by its tail. Me, you would hurt her. Don't do it. Change of subject. Guessed, once my back is turned, yoink cat, meow, 2 feet off the ground. Terrified. Guest's wife, I'm so sorry. Guessed, haha. That's when you pick them up by the ear and throw them out the fucking door. People who are cruel to animals and think it's funny are the kinds of people you don't need in your life. Ate my go-gurts I had in the fridge for bad days while I was recovering from a major spinal surgery. Encouraged the other guests to join in. Hogged the sofa which I needed to sleep on since my back couldn't handle the floor again. Still very much in recovery from a major surgery. Refused to give up spot on said sofa. Acted offended when I left the room to sleep on another sofa. Didn't flush the toilet. Almost broke my laptop doing something I told her not to do because it could break my laptop. No matter how much you've missed your friends while spending over a month in recovery, do not invite them over for a sleepover when you're still in a lot of pain. Also just don't invite assholes. Stole my jacket. My roommate's friend took it because he didn't bring one and it was cold when he left. Then when I tried to get it back he denied taking it and threw it in the trash. He is and always will be a useless sack of rotten, pickled dicks. Are the dicks rotten before they are pickled? Cause surely pickling would stop dicks from rotting if they were fresh before going in the jar. Some years ago, while we were celebrating a birthday, I guess it was my sister's, one of my cousins vanished for about an hour. We first thought she was watching TV or something like that when we realized she went through all our rooms, mine, sister and brother, trashed them, and unfortunately a day after that realized she stole our pocket money and some of my Nintendo DS games I'm still missing. She never got punishment because she would never steal from you. She was just bored. Decorated the Christmas tree. A bit of backstory. In my family, the Christmas tree isn't just some pretty thing to look at. It's a relic of family history. Every ornament was a gift from a family member or friend. Some of them were generations old. Decorating the tree was something we all did together, and we'd put the ornaments we'd been gifted on the tree. I wanted to pass that on to my daughter, that each ornament was special and meant something. Then, along came my late father-in-law's girlfriend. She was a self-proclaimed authority on everything, from how to properly cook carrots up to how to decorate a Christmas tree. Knowing how she was, I made it clear that we were going to hang the ornaments together. After we got back from some last minute shopping, we got back, and she'd decorated the tree herself. She stood proudly in front of it, waiting for us to tell her how beautiful it was. Bitch simply didn't listen. Now you've got me having imaginary arguments with a woman I've never met because she decorated a Christmas tree that isn't mine. I'm raging on the inside. Good to know I'm not alone.